Let me now bring on board the chairman of TRAI, Mr. J.S. Verma. If I look at the TRAI recommendations for the broadcast industry, the sense which I'm getting from some of the broadcasters is that the current recommendations are clearly tilted in favor of MSOs.
First of all, these are not recommendations, these are regulations. Secondly, I don't think so. I think we try to take a very balanced view of everybody concerned. And unless you tell me why they think so, I really won't be able to react.
Well, the argument from the broadcasters is that since carriage charges will be legalized, this in a sense will not make a level playing field for current broadcasters to launch new channels.
Not really. You see, so far, carriage fee has been an informal arrangement between the broadcasters and the MSOs. Now, we have mandated that there should be 500 channels from 1st January 2013, which actually enables them to carry. But you will appreciate that setting up of a 500 channel capacity also calls for certain investment and there's a certain carriage. So it is this particular cost that we said that the MSOs can actually build for themselves, because somebody would be actually going from 200 to 500, somebody will be going from 400 to 500, so it varies from MSO to MSO. What we have said is that the MSO should fix his own carriage fee and apply it. First of all, he should publish this. Secondly, he should apply it uniformly and in a non-discriminatory fashion across all channels. Thirdly, we said in the event the authority feels that it is exorbitant or it is unreasonable, the authority has always the right to intervene.
Mr. Sarna, but how have broadcasters reacted to this? Have they written to you? Have you heard anything from them?
Not after we issued the regulation.
But if the purpose of this new regulation is to really reduce the carriage fee and promote digitization, how do you think this new regulation will be able to achieve that goal?
You see, the objective of the regulation is to promote digitization. We had started this from 2010 onwards. If you recall, we had issued a tariff order. We had issued an order in 21st July 2010, a tariff order, and also followed it up with complete recommendations on digitization, which has now become a reality. Now, this will promote digitization completely, because it allows every operator, every stakeholder to have a reasonable share of the market and also the reasonable share of the revenue.
Of course, when I ask you this question, sir, I'm asking you this question with the disclosure that ET Now is a media company, and it is owned by Bennett and Coleman, which is India's largest media company. I've got a quote from NBA, which is the National Broadcast Association, and the quote is, the NBA urges the government and TRAI to look into this recommendation urgently. It also says the practice of carriage fees unfairly penalizes the broadcasters and threatens the very survival of the broadcasting industry.
Well, I have not seen that statement, but since you have read it, let me mention that I don't think that any fears in this regard or any apprehensions in this regard are unfounded. First of all, it is not a recommendation. I mentioned it right at the outset. These are regulations which the authority issues by virtue of the powers that it has got under the TRAI Act. So these are regulations which have come into force. So these are in force, and as we go along, as we will see what needs to be done. After all, any regulation that requires an amendment over a period of time, and I'm not suggesting that immediately, so please don't get the impression that I'm saying it is likely to be reviewed right now. Over a period of time, based on experience over the next year or so, we will see. And we have also stated that the carriage fee, once fixed by the MSO, shall not be changed for 2 years. You see, earlier what was happening was the carriage fee was a totally unregulated and totally informal arrangement, and each person used to demand whatever they wanted. That system is now streamlined completely.
Right. So, Mr. Sharma, is there a chance that these regulations could be diluted as well? And what happens if the MSOs aren't able to meet the deadline? Is there a penalty in that case?
Okay, there are two separate questions.
Right.
The question of regulation being diluted doesn't arise. I mean, we don't dilute regulations. After all, we issue them after careful consideration. So there is no system, or there is no even earlier practice of diluting or revising regulations immediately after they are issued. That's first point. Second point, you're again asking about the date. Well, strictly speaking, the date has been notified by the government, and I can say that it stands. As far as we are concerned, it stands. Now, it is the government which has notified the dates. Of course, this has been based on the recommendation of the TRAI, which was given in 2010. And frankly, I don't see any reason why there should be any change in the date. But
so,
this is
will there be a penalty in that
government.
case?
Sorry?
Will there be a penalty if the date is not met, Mr. Sharma?
There is no question of penalty. There is no analog distribution, TV distribution after from 1st July 2012. That's it. There is nothing like penalty. I mean, it's an act. It's a law. That everything is the analog system in these DAS areas, that is the metropolitan cities of Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata and Chennai, that stops on 1st July 2012.
Mr. Sharma, what about the interconnection charges between the broadcasters and between the MSOs? Will TRAI have a role to play there as well?
We have already indicated that it shall not exceed 42% of the non-cap area tariff. This is a Supreme Court order. We had, if you recall, on 21st July 2010, we had said that it should be 35%. TDs had said it should be 50. Then in appeal, the Supreme Court said to keep it at 42% maximum. But within that, they can work it out. It doesn't bar them from giving it at less than 42%, but the maximum, the ceiling is 42%.